Dad. Ms. Shebu says that the Conservative government under Prime Minister Stephen Harper opposes the Long Form Census and the Long Registry. Are they the same thing, Dad?
Ho, 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 son. The things that you kids talk about in school. No, the Long Form Census and the Long Registry are two different things, son.
But what are they, Dad? What is the Long Form Census and the Long Registry, and why is the Conservative government of Prime Minister Stephen Harper opposed to both?
Well, son, let's take them one at a time. We'll start with the Long Form Census first.
Okay.
You know how you study things in school and learn about the provinces? Such as how many people live in each province, and what languages they speak, and what countries they may have come from, if they are new Canadians?
Yes, Dad. We call that social studies. It's my favorite subject at school, learning more about Canada.
Well, where do you think all that information comes from, the information about all the people living in the different provinces?
I don't know, Dad. Where does that information come from?
Well, son, it comes from the census. Every 5 years Canada counts the number of people living in Canada, and asks them questions about where they live, which language is the language they speak most often, whether they are male or female and things like that.
Every person in Canada. Wow. How does Canada do that, Dad? Do they line the people up and count them? Like the West Edmonton Wall, for example.
Ho, 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 son. No, they don't line them up. There's far too many people in Canada. Instead, Statistics Canada sends every Canadian household a form to fill in. Canadians answer the questions themselves, in their home, and mail the response back.
Is that a long form census, Dad?
No, son, the Long Form Census is a special census form that asks more detailed questions.
Why, Dad? Why does Canada have the long form census?
Well, for the same reasons that Canada has the short form census. To collect information that we need to plan for the future. To plan such things as the number of new schools to build, hospitals, highways, and to fund government programs.
Does everyone in Canada get the long form census then, Dad?
No, son, only a few people get the Long Form Census. It's called a statistical sample.
I know what that is, Dad. We studied it in school. A statistical sample is a subset of the population that you are sampling, but is large enough to be considered representative of the population as a whole.
Right you are, son.
Well, then, Dad. Why does the Conservative government under Prime Minister Stephen Harper oppose the long form census? It seems like a good thing for Canada.
It seems that the Conservatives oppose the Long Form Census on ideological grounds. They say that they do not want to coerce anyone into answering the questions on the Long Form Census. They say that the Long Form Census is intrusive and an invasion of Canadians' privacy.
But is it, Dad? Is the long form census an invasion of Canadians' privacy?
No, son, it most surely is not, because the census responses are anonymous. The government doesn't record the name of the person answering the Long Form Census. The only thing that it does is that it makes sure that the person who was sent a Long Form Census actually returns it. It was required by law to return it to the government, or at least it was, until the Conservatives decided to not enforce the law for the 2011 census.
Why, Dad? Why was it mandatory to complete a long form census?
Well, son, if only some people returned the Long Form Census, then the census data would be subject to respondent bias.
I know what that is. We studied it in school. That's when certain subsets of the population are more likely to respond, thus skewing the results towards that subset of the population. A survey that has respondent bias is probably pretty much useless, isn't it, Dad?
That's right, son. Retirees like Grandpa Ebu, who have more time on their hands, are more likely to complete the Long Form Census. So the census results could be skewed, and Canada would collect data that is more pertinent to groups such as retirees. But that's just one example of the kind of bias that can result.
But why, Dad? Why did the Conservatives oppose the long form census, if it's such a good thing for Canada?
If only we knew, son. But it seems that the decision originated from the Prime Minister himself, and he opposed it on ideological grounds.
Isn't it a bit dangerous, Dad? To have an ideologue as Prime Minister, who is going to micromanage things down to the level of the long form census? Doesn't he have more serious issues to worry about? Such as the economy? Unemployment? Climate change? The war in Afghanistan?
You would think so, son. You would think so.